Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited that you're here. My name is Lauren. I am on the marketing team at Simon, and huge shout out to joining us today. We're really excited to co-host this webinar with Snowflake. Today, we'll be discussing the winning strategy for AI-driven marketing, and we'll have three speakers. So, platform principal Nidhi DeSutter from Snowflake. We have Simon CEO Jason Davis and Jake Phillips, our principal product manager here at Simon. Some logistics, and I'll get out of the way. Probably not shocking to anyone. The webinar will last about 45 minutes. We'll leave probably 5 to 10 minutes at the end for questions. We do have a Q&A chat dropped at the bottom, so please feel free to throw your questions in there at any time. We'll probably get to them at the end. And as always, we have this recording, so it will be sent to you after the event ends. All right, thank you so much. Jason, do you want to take it away?
Great. So thank you, Lauren. I really look forward to digging in to really some of the some massive opportunities that we've seen across some of the foundational work that Snowflake has put in place with data and AI, and some of the marketing applications that at Simon Data we've really been able to pioneer and drive value across our customer base. So before getting into things here, we'll do some quick intros. My name is Jason Davis. I founded Simon about 10 years ago. I'm joined by Jake Phillips on my team. Jake, you want to say hi?
How's everyone doing? My name is Jake Phillips, Principal Product Manager here at Simon. I currently am supporting building out our AI roadmap. I'm very excited to be here, talk through our vision in and around Snowflake and AI. I've experienced about 10 years in the industry in both roles across data analytics and product. So data is my home, and I love the space and excited to talk about it with you all today.
Nidhi.
Perfect. Hey, everyone. My name's Nidhi. I'm part of the platform specialist team here at Snowflake. Spend a lot of my days meeting and solutioning with customers, and I love it. I've been with Snowflake for 4 years, but spent many years in advertising, media industry, and driving marketing strategies and use cases forward, even prior to Snowflake. So thank you again, Simon Data team, for having me here today and all of you joining. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Great. So a bit on Simon, then Nidhi, you can give the Snowflake overview. Simon Data is a leading customer data platform. We are architected on Snowflake. We work with many customers, some of which are listed below, with really a simple mission to enable them to unlock the first-party cloud data investments they've made within Snowflake and beyond, and really use those data investments to drive the next generation of marketing outcomes. Omni-channel, paid, owned, direct mail, on-site, and everything in between. And we'll get into what that looks like as we get into things.
Thank you. So the data cloud as we know it today has gone through an evolution over many years. Snowflake was founded as a cloud-native database platform delivered as a fully managed service. Over the years, Snowflake has grown to support many workloads, including data collaboration and data engineering and data science, and has evolved into what we call the data cloud. And so the data cloud is really an integrated data platform that our customers can leverage to acquire, manage, and efficiently use their data, as well as acquire second and third-party data to generate these insights, to automate and grow their businesses. In 2021, we doubled down on our verticalization and formed what we refer to as Industry Data Cloud. So you might have heard Snowflake Data Cloud for Marketing, and our goal really is to provide our customers with even more curated solutions, content, and partnerships to drive these industry discussions and use cases forward. And where we are today, it's not a surprise to any of you, but there's a paradigm shift with Snowflake bringing the applications to the data through our data sharing and native application technology. And so again, the idea is instead of sending your copies of data to different applications and services, we want to bring those applications on top of your Snowflake instance. And then, of course, the AI and Gen AI, we're going to talk a lot more about this in the webinar, but Snowflake Cortex is our intelligent AI offering, which gives our customers access to serverless functions and industry leading large language models. Again, making your life easier as marketers.
So getting into things over the rest of the presentation, we're really going to break down the components of strategy into 3 buckets. The first bucket, we like to visualize this as a pyramid. The first bucket is data. There's an adage in machine learning is garbage in, garbage out, and if you don't have the right data in place, and that includes customer data, that implies, that requires enterprise data, that requires the right, data foundation, infrastructure, and platform. That's the base on which you need to build. On top of that, is AI. And as Nidhi said, there's been tremendous advancements in LLMs and machine learning over the recent years, and it's tremendously exciting for us as the application provider, and and as a platform that's invested heavily in AI, to see some of the advances around Cortex, that we'll talk about as well. And that's the second layer with AI. And then, of course, the third bucket is, look, we're not talking about highly technical systems. We're talking about leveraging technical systems for marketing applications. And really, at the end of the day, the secret sauce, and the key ingredient for success is driving business outcomes in a way that's accessible for business stakeholders and marketers, who don't need to write SQL, don't need to write code, don't need to fine tune LLMs, but really just need an accessible application, product, and platform that drives measurable business outcomes. So again, we'll break this down to 3 buckets. We'll first start about what does the right data look like. We'll then plug into and really just come up to speed with what we see as a new world of AI, and then we'll bring it all together. And this really is sort of our POV for the webinar around what end-to-end value needs to look like. So let's hop into it. Nidhi, maybe you can start with data foundations and Snowflake's general platform overview.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've heard us say this before, but in order to have an AI strategy, that requires a very robust data strategy and data foundation. And so a key development philosophy for Snowflake is sort of this power of one, right? So having one single platform without any trade-offs pays off in countless ways, from drastically simplifying things for our customers to accelerating Snowflake's own engineering impact. And so really, we've developed these 4 unique architecture layers. All of these are integrated within our platform. So I'll just touch on those really quickly, just so you guys understand. But these are, when we talk about the Snowflake infrastructure and the robustness of our platform, these layers matter quite a bit. So the first is the interoperable storage. And under the hood, this layer is built on elastic, efficient cloud storage. And what that means effectively is we support all types of data in one place, whether it's structured to high volume, semi-structured to unstructured, such as PDFs or images. And the optimized storage layer is really what puts, nearly all data at your fingertips. And it's really critical to making data and models more accurate, insights more actionable, and data applications so much more powerful. The second layer is this elastic multi-cluster compute. So not only are we providing scalable compute, we're also separating compute from compute. And so what that really means is you can have multiple teams operating on that same data without resource contention. And so really think about the Snowflake engine being built for speed. You get performance out of the box. And this is extremely important when you're thinking about building, customer 360 at scale, especially for marketing. The third layer is cloud services. And so Snowflake is self-managed. We have a lot of automations in place. And so really, our goal is to make sure that your team can focus on, what actually matters to your businesses. So these automations support your data teams throughout the platform. For example, we take care of encrypting the data by default. We eliminate, maintenance and upgrades. And really what that means for you is your data teams can manage the data and make that data accessible to the broader organization much faster than if they had to do all of the data wrangling tasks. And then the fourth layer is really our SnowGrid. So this is our cross-cloud technology layer. And it lets you work more efficiently across, globally distributed teams so that you can get results faster, you can get visibility faster, you can control your data, but it also powers cross-cloud collaboration, right? So we want to make sure that the data is ready to use, it's live, that services and apps are accessible. And so using, the SnowGrid technology in our cross-cloud collaboration, this means that you have access to data instantly versus waiting the 7 to 10 days for data to flow through another method. And so if you're talking about, powering real-time customer engagement use cases and measuring in-flight campaigns, you're able to do that with, time to market and time to speed through the Snowflake's, cross-cloud collaboration layer. All right. So most of you are likely facing the challenges of silos in your organization today. So siloed data sits across hundreds of different data environments, serving different teams or operational needs. As those silos increase, so does the complexity to manage these systems and data. And so this inherently impacts your ability to drive business outcomes. And that's why Snowflake is really dedicated to eliminating these silos, right? So it's not just about the questions you can ask from each data set, but it's really about the exponential growth in questions you can ask and answer if you're able to harmonize this data at scale. And that's really what we want to help our customers get to, is getting value out of their data to make the right business decisions.
And really, when I sort of reflect back on, the way Snowflake talks about, the opportunity around warehousing data from across the organization, some of the examples that you just went through, they're incredibly relevant for marketing applications. And I think one of the big challenges we see across so many MarTech tools, is they're very focused on what, at the end of the day, is a very small slice of the story. Zillow is a Simon Data customer, and I always like to ask the question. Let's say I told you that yesterday I spent 5 minutes browsing, Zillow's mobile application. That information on its own doesn't really say all that much about my intention. Am I, in the final stages of buying a home and looking at the pictures one last time? Did I just download the app and I've been renting for the last 5 years, and someone suggested perhaps I consider buying a home. If you really want to understand, where customers are in their journey, in their life cycle, what their intent is, you really need to look well beyond just data that happens to have a customer identifier associated with it. So for Zillow or for home buying, as an example, what neighborhood is the home in? Let's look at details of the home. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms? If you're buying a home, you're most likely also talking to an agent. If you talk to an agent, is it a seller's agent? Is it a buyer's agent? Is it someone who specializes in a particular neighborhood? And furthermore, if you're looking to buy a home, you may also be interested in financing products. So what kind of financing products do you look for, and what does that maybe tell you about whether you're a first-time buyer, a second-time buyer? You're looking for an investment property, perhaps looking for a second home. All this data is critical context clues that are required to really understand where customers are in their journey, and to really drive some of the applications that we'll be talking about, in the coming minutes, in this presentation. So with this, I'll just spend a few minutes talking about some of the trends around AI, some of the high-level problems. Nidhi will then detail some of the tremendous innovation that Snowflake has brought to market with some of the new capabilities, and then we'll put it all together with the third section. So again, at a high level, when we think about AI value creation at a high level, there are really a few different buckets of the pipeline. I'm only going to spend a minute or so on this slide. But Nidhi just went through what the data infrastructure component looks like. If the data isn't there, if you don't have the high quality, complete access to your customer data, and enterprise data more broadly, you're not going to be able to solve a lot of the problems that we're talking about here. The second column is really one of understanding the data. Jake will talk about what this looks like from an application perspective, but really understanding what that looks like is key number 3. Column number 2, and then of course the third bucket here is the AI and the actual algorithms. We'll be spending time here detailing some of the advancements, how Cortex works, trends around LLMs, but ultimately, this is where it all gets put together, and then there are really 2 categories of outcomes. And for marketing specifically, it's using AI to accelerate workflow. So Copilot applications, where previously perhaps you had to write SQL or you had to write Python. Now you can just tell the application what you want to do, and it does it for you. And then of course the other marketing outcome is really one of optimizing business processes. The latter in which oftentimes will require first-party data access into the AI, and Nidhi will talk about some of the security benefits and some of the concerns around that. So I'll just spend a few seconds on this slide, just to sort of set the stage before we get into some of the technical details. But for those who are unacquainted to LLM, they're sort of a form of neural network And the bigger they get, the smarter they get. Without in broad strokes, not to overgeneralize. But if you look at the trends around advancements in technology and LLMs over the last, even just 5-6 years, the number of parameters that have been used to train them, and to define them rather, has just increased tremendously from 100 million in 2018, to the 500 million, even just a couple of years ago, and now much larger than that. So what this really translates to in practice is just a complete phase shift around the intelligence that these algorithms are able to reason about, and really just a transformation in the applications where they can be used.
All right. So obviously AI, Gen AI, ML workloads, top of mind, right? So really from our standpoint, we want to help enterprises continue to unlock new levels of productivity and insights in a way that's efficient, trusted, and easy. And so regardless if the use case is using Gen AI, machine learning, or both, Snowflake has a unified platform for development and governance. And our goal is to it's threefold. One is to be able to efficiently deliver projects from development to production. And so again, rather than moving data to the model, the models can come to the data, which aligned with our philosophy around bringing applications to the data, bringing data to the, data that you own. And so again, it's eliminating sort of the movement of that data. Second is to enable more than just a few technical experts to use AI with fully managed services and infrastructure that is accessible through code and no-code interfaces. And third is to be able to protect your IP. You can extend governance and granular role-based access controls from the data to the models without complexity. And so we're going to dive a little bit more into Cortex AI in the next couple of slides. But as I mentioned earlier, Snowflake Cortex is, again, a suite of AI features that allow you to build Gen AI applications with fully managed LLMs and chat with your data services. All right. So there's a full spectrum of models that can be used to best fit your tasks and cost goals. For all of them, there's no infrastructure to manage. The data stays in Snowflake. It's never shared with the third-party LLM provider. So you have the flexibility to choose the models that best fit for your company needs without, again, ever having to manage the underlying GPU infrastructure, which means, again, faster time to insights when you're building these Gen AI applications and leveraging the data at the core data layer to make those models work. All right, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time here just because I think these components are very important. So at its foundation, we have a fully managed set of models, which are great to do things like process text at scale, sentiment analysis, or custom summaries using pre-trained models from leading providers, right? So I'm going to touch on Arctic in a little bit here, but you have the ability to customize and manage these LLMs inside of Snowflake. Now, a common goal that we hear from enterprises is to be able to enable everyone to be able to talk to that data. So we have two fully managed services that make that very easy, whether it's structured data that is used for analytics or unstructured data like documents. So we have Cortex Analyst, which enables business users to interact with analytical data stored in tables using natural language, right? So the goal again here is to enable you to be able to find answers faster, self-serve insights, and save valuable time. We also have Cortex Search, which allows you to quickly and securely find information by using fully managed search and retrieval within a given set of enterprise documents. Getting access to all of this is also easy, right? So if you are familiar with SQL and Python, we have code interfaces that can interact with SQL and Python. We're also introducing Snowflake Studio for no-code development to make this, again, accessible for non-technical users. And then the last layer here is because we trust the reliability of Cortex AI, we've actually built a few products on top of it, like Snowflake Pilot and Document AI. And so, Snowflake Pilot, just to help you understand, basically understands the context of your data and turns questions into SQL queries. And then Document AI is able to extract content like contract terms from documents using Arctic Tilt. And so if you go next, I'll touch on these. So at Snowflake, we've seen a consistent pattern in AI needs and use cases from our enterprise customers. And just this year, again, we released Arctic, a completely new enterprise-grade foundation model with over 400 billion parameters, remarkably easy to train and fine-tune for your use cases, but it's part of a family of new machine learning models that we release, including the Arctic Embedded for retrieval and Arctic Tilt for document understanding. And of course, top of mind is, privacy and compliance. And so we release new technologies like Snowflake Horizon to ensure that your models are secure, the model registry for managing access to your models, and Cortex Guard is there to ensure safety. We want to empower organizations to build innovative and efficient solutions, but in a very governed way. And so again, working within the Snowflake platform, you get the governance and privacy frameworks and support from that standpoint as part of our core infrastructure and platform. So I'd love to turn this over to Jake and Jason to learn more about your perspective on AI, especially as it pertains to our partnership with Simon Data and how your team is building into some of these capabilities to make the marketer's life easier.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. Yeah, and provide you all some context that I think will be helpful is that Simon Data last year launched our composable architecture. And with that, we made Snowflake the core of our application in a way that reinforces the customer data warehouse as your business's source of truth. With our composable infrastructure, we return all data, including whatever third-party data we ingest on your behalf, and any data we produce as we orchestrate across channels back to Snowflake, and then run all major processes around segmentation and activation in Snowflake. And with this move to composable, the results have been obviously better access to data, better, with all the benefits you get from security and all the great things from Snowflake, lower latency for business use cases, and just further investments in Snowflake as your source of truth. And now with Cortex, we can double down on our investments in AI using Snowflake as well. And using Cortex has a number of benefits for us. One, we love Snowflake. So as a company, we can really quickly build applications on top of Snowflake's infrastructure, which allows us to build products and MVPs and get feedback from the market quickly. And then all the benefits that you get around data access and security are amplified with AI use cases, right? So just as we want direct access to secure first-party data for marketing use case in general, being able to embed first-party data securely into AI workflows is absolutely critical. And I'm going to go into more detail about how we're building applications in response to that in the next section.
Great. So we'll turn the corner now and bring it home, with some applications and really what it looks like when you combine the data and the AI with the right use cases and the right infrastructure and product, to really put it all together. And before we get into to some of the details around Snowflake's ecosystem and Simon Data's approaches, there are a couple of stats that I always like to refer back to. And as a data scientist by trade, I get tremendously excited about the advancements in the broader cloud data category, and certainly how Snowflake is in pushing things. And at the end of the day, sort of pundits have called where we are here as the decade of data, but at the same time, if you look at where organizations are today, there are real gaps. There's a recent McKinsey survey that showed only 30% of CEOs believe that their analytics strategy aligns with their business strategy. And I think Elation or someone had a survey that says only 8% of data teams believe that their ML models are being deployed in a way that's driving value. And and these stats, while they are sort of broad surveys, it is pain that I know everyone on this call I'm sure feels, and we certainly see across our customer base. But that pain at the same time represents massive opportunity. And in a minute, Nidhi will go through how Snowflake is approaching this problem broadly, across a set of application partners that includes Simon Data and marketing applications, but also includes applications outside of marketing as well. And then Jake will give some examples from what we've done to put it all together and drive outcomes directly with Simon Data.
Perfect. All right. So what does the connectivity of the AI Data Cloud mean to you? So I really want you to walk away with two key elements of, the AI Data Cloud and what we mean. So the first is, again, the Snowflake platform, where we're providing this unique architecture designed to connect product globally at scale. But the second main component is the ability to work with a broader ecosystem of partners and data providers and application providers to really drive that collaboration. And it's not just with your marketing use cases, but across your business, right? So, as an example, I work with a ton of retailers who, again, are also marketers. And a common use case that comes up is, stock out prevention or fulfillment during peak periods. And, again, this ultimately drives revenue for them, but also the customer experience. And so, building that demand forecasting model to get this right requires the ability to not only understand the customer engagement patterns and the customer 360 and the transaction trends, but also requires them to understand inventory management and supply chain logistics. And so, you can start to see why customer data is, of course, one component, but the ability to access multitude of different data sets and applications then allows you to power use cases that, are just much more than marketing. I mean, of course, marketing is a huge component, but things like embedded analytics to retail media networks to pricing and promotion to smart logistics and supply chain efficiency. So all of these are very key use cases for a lot of our customers to be able to drive their business. And then again, it helps you drive omni-channel personalization strategies from a marketing standpoint, as well as new customer acquisition and customer loyalty. So the list goes on, but again, when you think about the harmonization of that data, it really allows you to look at this very holistically and ask questions of your business and of your data that will allow you to drive these use cases, whether it's supply chain or marketing or other use cases, to make those business decisions. All right. So to tee it up, these are just some examples of Gen AI applications that our customers are already building using Snowflake. So I'll just touch on a couple of these and sort of touch on the marketing angle. But Bear is generating insights in natural language. They're removing dependencies on dashboards that lack flexibility. And so they're using Streamlit and Snowflake as sort of a chat interface and Cortex Analyst as a query generation service. And so they're really able to augment existing business intelligence with self-serve analytics in natural language. Sigma is using some of our Cortex functions for sentiment enrichment of gong calls and predictive account scoring for propensity to buy. Zoom is using Cortex functions for chatbot for their customer success teams that are querying Salesforce and HubSpot data in Snowflake. The goal at the end of the day for all of these companies is making data more accessible, usable, and driving not only business efficiencies, but experience for customers and internal and external in all of three examples. And again, this is just the beginning. What I get asked a lot and where this is going as it pertains to marketing is things like, intelligent, personalized product recommendations, offers, and experiences that sync with the individual's users' preferences and needs across all mediums, from images to video to even text, right, that are used in conversations. And then the creative content generation, the ability to personalize product descriptions or marketing emails and social media posts to really meet consumers in the right place at the right time with the right context. And so again, the use cases are endless and we're sort of just in the earlier stages of this, but I think there's a lot of momentum to make sure that, again, collectively, we're driving the right customer experience. With that, I'm going to turn over to you, Jake, to touch on how Simon is solving business problems, keeping in mind the robustness of this data and technology infrastructure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nidhi. And one day hopefully soon, will be a fourth card on that previous slide. Well, so for some background on the perspective that we come from when it comes to building applications, right? So Simon, we are built on the practice and the belief that the best way to solve business problems is by integrating first-party data at each point in the campaign creation workflow, right? From ideation to building a segment to generating one-to-one content and then optimizing downstream on outcomes. And AI, without a doubt, including both large language models and don't forget machine learning, allows us to level up our ability to realize this vision. working with Cortex, we believe we have an opportunity to build a differentiated offering by building the ability to develop a truly contextual understanding of our customers' enterprise data. And to do this, it requires some core things that Simon and Cortex together enable. One is enterprise data access to all first-party data, customer and non-customer. Another is flexible data support, right? We don't come to our customers with a rigid perspective on what their data needs to look like. Instead, we optimize based upon what their business is in the data they produce. And we can achieve this scalably and securely with Cortex. And what this means, just soup to nuts, or more tactically, is the core of our AI workflow in Simon is a semantic understanding of what our customers' data actually is. Because if we don't know, or our AI apps do not understand what the data that they're interacting with upstream is, they'll have no ability to build smart products that actually deliver customer value. So leveraging Cortex to develop this upstream semantic understanding is really a huge unlock for us. And with that understanding, it's just a matter of combining customers' upstream data, what we know about it, and their business goals to deliver a well-designed solution that optimizes for the delivery of marketing value. And how this will appear to a user in the app won't necessarily be unfamiliar, right? We're gonna ask for a goal, and based upon the goal that they submit, we will be able to generate suggested audiences, content, and journeys based upon all of their upstream customer and non-customer data. So let's take an example from earlier when Jason was bringing up Zillow. You can imagine a customer recently browsing a listing and optimizing for content based upon not just their activity, right? A segment of recently browsing customers, but even on attributes around the listings they were browsing. For example, showing content in neighborhoods with highly scored school districts. Being able to achieve these sorts of hyper-personalized results at scale is something that we have years of experience supporting, and working with Snowflake and Cortex, we can now do it automatically across our customers. And walk through what this looks like in our product. You can see the way that we contextualize this for the user is they submit a business goal, and we are offering suggested campaigns, audiences, and content, and mapping back to the data assets that we're leveraging to build those recommendations, right? So this gives the user that validation and that input that, hey, your data assets are foundational to realizing these marketing outcomes, which is really important for breaking down some of the silos across data and marketing that we know are important to achieve high-level outcomes. And then once a customer has approved our suggestions, we then offer them the ability to generate for them in our product a journey, which they can then review and then make some, fine-tune some changes as they like, and then submit and deploy to their customers. The key to building all this successfully is obviously one part Snowflake and Cortex, but another part is just what it takes to build good products generally, right? And that's understanding customer problems and executing solutions that address them. And my take is that the basics here are more important for AI than for anything else. Because frankly, there's a lot of hype and hype-based stuff out there around AI, and customers are sick of it. So when we're building AI products, we are making a really concerted effort to be discerningly focused towards solving customer problems. And I think we've had a lot of success to date with that approach. So when we first launched our AI roadmap, we were really focused on the fact that many of our less technical users were locked out of some of the high value content generation use cases in our platform because they had required the use of Jinja, which is a templating language. So we built a feature that laser focused on not just the problem, but the persona impacted by it, and built our personalization copilot, which works well within our marketers' workflow and allows them to essentially iterate on building Jinja in a way that builds trust with the AI tooling that is really important whenever you're embedding AI into a product launch. And this ultimately resulted in a very successful product, right? So Valerie's is one quote here from Zillow. She was able to, take a process that took, hours wading through documents, and it now takes 30 seconds. And next slide, please, Jason. And you can see just the outcomes of what this means to the users. It's clear, right? Type in, give me a list of most expensive listing per zip code, and we're then able to, at scale, personalize content in all of our customers' emails. And previously, this would have taken the Zillow team hours upon hours upon hours. And now it's embedded into their workflow and takes them no time at all. And this sort of user persona problem-based approach is something that we are excited to continue to invest in as we build AI applications in Simon, of course, with Snowflake Cortex. I think I'm going to hand it off to you to take us home, Jason.
Great. Well, thanks, Jake. And look, I think there's a few final words, and I'm not going to spend too much on this slide specifically, but end value, as we've just described, starts with data, ends with leverages the next generation of AI, puts it all together, but it's really about the business outcome. For marketing, that's conversion rates, that's lifetime value, that's return on ad spend. I think one of the biggest challenges around data and AI is that for so many businesses, they're technical tools that are incredibly sophisticated, incredibly powerful, but at times hard to bridge the gap into the end business application. And I think what we just presented here really just sort of scratches the surface around what's possible. And I also think it scratches the surface around where we are all collectively as well, and really putting this stuff to work. So with this, I just want to thank everyone for joining today, and I think we might have a few minutes for questions as well.
We actually do have one question so far, and I'll give everyone time to squay in the chat, in the Q&A chat box. First one is anonymous, and someone asked, how much data is needed to get started with AI?
Nidhi, do you want to? You can take it.
It's a great question. I'm not going to talk about like petabytes of data that's needed or anything like that, but I think really what it comes down to what we talked about today, which is, again, in order for your AI strategy to be really valuable, you need to make sure, again, your data strategy is there. And so if you're talking about leveraging models to run, personalization and other use cases that pertains to marketing, that you want to make sure you have the right kind of data. So yes, the data volume is there because you do, if you're, modeling the data, you're training the data, you want to make sure that the data volume is there. But it's not just about the data volume, it's also about having the right data sets available to make sure that, again, you have the right inputs to train that model and then effectively get the right output so you can make those decisions. So I don't have the perfect answer necessarily, but again, you do need a lot of data. You want data that's, not just customer data. You want, customer data. You want supply chain data. You want other data sources to be able to really train the model depending on what your use case is. So just make sure, again, that your data strategy and data foundation is there before you just start investing in running models from an AI standpoint.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'll add one other thing. I think when we hear questions like this, a lot of folks look at a point in time and say, am I good enough today? And I think the way we really encourage our customers to look at it is, where are you trying to go? I think one of the big challenges is, if you're able to work backwards from use cases, and if you have the support, whatever it is, small, medium, or large degree of support, from data, then you can work towards building some pretty great things. But you really need to ask, where are you going? And it's our strong POV as a data-driven marketing application that, to the extent that you're able to align your teams to work backwards from the use cases that really matter, that is really an approach that we see as one that drives sort of the fastest results. And and obviously from depending on what kinds of problems you're trying to solve, you'll either need more or less, or higher quality or higher fidelity data. So,
and I'll just add that with Cortex, and I know I keep throwing the Cortex name out there, and I mean it earnestly, but with Cortex, like, depending on the use case, you can get up and running with pretty limited amounts of data, because you can use off-the-shelf pre-trained LLMs and pass it to start limited amounts of data and see what sort of results you get. And the cool thing about working with Cortex is then you can invest and get more and more sophisticated as you learn about the areas in which you want to just double down more and invest in more, because ultimately it does usually take more involved data processing to deliver a truly differentiated result. But when it comes to delivering value quickly to get feedback from users, at least from a product person's perspective, you can start really quickly.
Yeah, no, I just to kind of touch on that, I love that you mentioned that. So it is easy to get started, and that's again the goal of what we're making available, right? Easy to get started, but as you sort of go through that journey, to Jason's point, understanding the use cases and sort of working backwards is also important. So you can understand, like, what data sets do we really need to be able to train the model, to be able to look at this efficiently. But again, getting started is easy, and that's the goal of what we're trying to, when we say easy, efficient, and trusted. So what we're trying to enable, but we want to make sure as you continue on that journey, you're getting the right output, you're getting the right outcomes to be able to actually drive. When you're talking about marketing and personalization and things like that, like, you're talking about your customer experience, right? And so we want to make sure that you're driving towards that efficiency and precision, but it is easy to get started. And I think, again, we're going to see a lot more in the AI, Gen AI world, but start sort of testing of the data that you have, and then build on top of that to get that precision that you're looking for. And that's what we see from a lot of our customers.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jason. And thank you, Nidhi. Had a great time.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
thank you.